Picture this: a quiet funeral chapel, soft beams of morning light, and Corey Matthews standing before his father's casket. Grief saturates the room, but behind the scenes, something unexpected stirs. Within days, Corey learns that his father's passing has unlocked more than memories. It's unlocked a vault of wealth, legacy, and opportunity. From oceanfront estates to rare family heirlooms, Corey inherits 9 astonishing assets. Each inheritance tells a story of decades-long planning, hidden value, and the enduring imprint of a patriarch's life. Stay with us as we uncover the first 2 extraordinary legacies that made Corey filthy rich. First, perched on a bluff overlooking the Atlantic, the Seaside Vista estate sprawls across 15 acres of manicured lawns, ancient oak trees, and private beach access. Known locally as the Old Man's Castle, this property served as the Matthews family retreat for generations. When Corey arrived for the first time, he was struck by the main house's neoclassical architecture: soaring columns, stately porticos, and a glass-enclosed solarium projecting over the waves. Inside, each room boasted handcrafted wainscoting, oil paintings by obscure European masters, and custom wrought iron fixtures stamped with the Matthews family crest. The estate also included a guest cottage, a boathouse housing 2 vintage wooden skiffs, and a caretaker's cottage nestled among the palms. Outside, rose gardens bordered by low marble walls gave way to untamed dunes. A 9-hole tennis court hid behind a tall hedge, its clay surface smoothed by an old caretaker's rake. An infinity-edge pool appeared to spill directly into the ocean, flanked by hand-carved marble sculptures imported from Florence. Underneath, a hidden wine cellar held vintage Bordeaux and a selection of California Cabernets, curated on weekends spent entertaining local dignitaries. Corey discovered his father's old journals in the library, revealing the original purchase price, a risky bet on beachfront land that today sits among the 10 most valuable private estates on the eastern seaboard, with an appraised value surpassing $20 million. Yet with great worth come great obligations. Annual taxes alone exceed $50,000, forcing Corey to decide whether to sell parcels or maintain the estate as one unified legacy. Inheriting Seaside Vista meant inheriting stewardship, a commitment to honor his father's vision or chart a new course. Next, Corey walked into his father's private garage-turned museum. Obsidian-paneled walls displayed a lineup of 12 mint-condition classic cars, each with its own backstory. A 1967 Shelby GT 500, polished to a mirror finish, sat beside a 1955 Chevrolet Bel Air convertible whose cherry red paint captured the glow of overhead spotlights. The crown jewel, a 1962 Ferrari 250 GTO, complete with racing stripes and authenticated by the factory, carried an estimated value exceeding $70 million. Alongside these icons rested a 1954 Jaguar XK 120 Roadster, a 1969 Dodge Charger R/T, and a rare 1957 Mercedes 300 SL Gullwing. Beneath these gleaming machines, a custom epoxy floor displayed the Matthews family crest. Vintage tool sets, original blueprints for custom bodywork, and a lathe for machining bespoke parts filled a full-service workshop in the back. Trophy cases lined one wall, displaying awards from SCCA races and charity concours events, each engraved with Matthews' name and trophy date. Racing helmets in vivid colors lined a glass shelf, some bearing scrapes from spirited track days. Contracts with 3 top restoration experts promised lifetime maintenance, transforming the garage into a living testament to mechanical artistry. This collection, appraised at over $80 million, wasn't merely a passive investment. It demanded active stewardship, lavish insurance policies, and a passion for history. Inheriting this automotive empire meant inheriting responsibility, relationships, and the burden of preserving a unique chapter of motoring culture. Every fender, every gear, and even his father's original factory manuals passed to Corey, each bearing proof of a mechanical passion. Beyond gleaming Ferraris and oceanfront mansions, Corey's father nurtured a passion for fine art that transformed a wing of the Seaside Vista estate into a private museum. As Corey steps into the high-ceilinged gallery corridor, he finds walls lined with oil paintings spanning 3 centuries. There's a 17th century Dutch landscape by Jacob van Ruysdael. Its marshy trees and brooding sky evoking the same Atlantic breezes that whip the estate's dunes. Nearby hangs an 18th century Italian morceau by Canaletto, depicting a Venetian canal scene whose luminous quality rivals the California sun beyond the windows. But the collection isn't confined to old masters. Alongside these hangs a series of bold, abstract canvases by mid-century American icons. Helen Frankenthaler's luminous pores and Robert Motherwell's stark black and white juxtaposed shapes, each original and authenticated in a leather-bound ledger. A discrete climate control system hums softly overhead, maintaining precise temperature and humidity levels. Subfloor heating preserves delicate watercolor pieces, while UV filtering windows ensure no frame will fade. Beneath the main gallery, a secure vault houses 3 small Picassos, a 1904 commissioned sketch, a 1932 graphite study, and a 1949 gouache on paper. Each bears provenance documents hand-signed by reputable auction houses, and combined they're valued at over $40 million. Marble plinths showcase sculptures, a life-size Rodin bronze whose dark patina contrasts with a pure Carrara marble torso by a rising contemporary sculptor. A catalog of 77 works, penned by Corey's father in meticulous handwriting, includes acquisition dates, provenance histories, and appraised values, collectively appraised at more than $100 million. To inherit this trove is to inherit responsibility. Corey must decide whether to open his private museum to the public under a nonprofit trust, lending select works to traveling exhibitions, or keep it closed for personal enjoyment. Annual insurance premiums eclipse 6 figures, and specialized conservators must be contracted to perform routine condition reports and restorations. As he ponders the ledger, Corey senses this inheritance is less a static investment than a living archive of artistic legacy, one demanding stewardship equal to that of a public institution. Leaving the hush of the gallery, Corey tours another branch of his father's legacy, the Matthews Heritage Winery, nestled amid the rolling vineyards of Napa Valley. Spanning 200 acres of prime Cabernet Sauvignon and Chardonnay grapes, the winery occupies gentle hills sloping toward a shimmering pond. The main chateau, built in the 1920s by pioneering vintners, blends French provincial architecture with California adobe, its vines crawling up limestone walls. Inside, a vast barrel room holds over 4,000 oak barrels, each etched with harvest year and varietal. Seasonal tours once drew enophiles from around the globe, pairing vineyard walks with vertical tastings of library reserves dating back to 1978. Corey's father held tight reins. He oversaw pruning schedules, grape blending, and even label design, a bold red matte finish featuring the Matthews crest in metallic gold. Under his direction, annual production averaged 40,000 cases, with flagship blends selling for upwards of $75 per bottle. Wholesale contracts placed the Matthews label in fine restaurants from New York to Tokyo, and a loyal wine club of 5,000 members guaranteed recurring revenue through quarterly allocations. A custom crush facility on-site also processed grapes for neighboring vineyards, generating additional income and forging industry partnerships. Financial statements reveal that net profits soared into 7 figures annually, and land appraisals placed the vineyard's worth at more than $30 million. Inheriting this operation isn't simply a matter of title. It requires knowledge of enology, leadership of a 30-person team, and navigation of complex distribution laws. The winery's name carries reputational weight. Every cork popped at a wedding or poured at a Michelin-starred table echoes the Matthews legacy. Corey must decide whether to hire a veteran cellar master and delegate day-to-day production or immerse himself in harvest season's sweat and toil. Choosing to uphold his father's meticulous standards could preserve vintages for decades. Missteps, however, risk souring both wine and reputation. Next, in a mahogany-lined display vault tucked behind a false wall in his father's home office, Corey discovers the Matthews family jewelry and timepiece collection. Each piece tells its own story of craftsmanship and legacy. At the center sits a Cartier Panthère diamond necklace, its 18-karat white gold setting studded with 58 brilliant cut diamonds, each precisely graded H+ in color and VS clarity. According to custom appraisals, This necklace alone is valued at $2 million. Nearby, a pair of Art Deco platinum bracelets by Van Cleef & Arpels, featuring interlocking onyx and diamond motifs, reflect the elder Matthews's passion for 1920s design. Corey's eyes travel to a 1915 Patek Philippe minute repeater wristwatch, reference 3974, with moon phase indicator and perpetual calendar. One of only 10 ever made in that configuration. It carries a mid-$5 million price tag. A collection of vintage Rolex, Paul Newman Daytonas, and Audemars Piguet Royal Oaks lines the adjacent shelf, each accompanied by a handwritten note detailing purchase date and original retail price. The total collection, cross-verified with Christie's and Sotheby's records, exceeds $12 million. But beyond market value, this inheritance demands decisions about preservation, insurance, and potential public exhibition. Corey must work with master jewelers for routine cleanings, secure a bespoke vault with biometric access, and decide whether to offer parts of the collection on loan to museum retrospectives. Bearings for legacy, security, and public legacy all hang in the balance. From glittering gemstones to cavernous hangers, Corey's next inheritance propels him sky-high: the Matthews family private jet. In a state-of-the-art hangar at Van Nuys Airport, a Bombardier Global 7500 awaits. Painted in the Matthews crest's deep burgundy and gold, its elongated fuselage promises transcontinental range, 7,700 nautical miles, at a cruising speed of Mach 0.85. Inside, the cabin's bespoke design reflects his father's taste for understated luxury: polished walnut veneer paneling, Italian leather seats that convert into fully flat beds, and a galley equipped for gourmet in-flight catering. A private master suite features a queen-size berth and an in-suite lavatory with marble walls and brushed nickel fixtures. 4 entertainment zones offer 4K OLED screens and high-fidelity surround sound. The cockpit houses dual Honeywell Primus Epic avionics, ensuring top-tier safety. Annual maintenance costs exceed $1.2 million, and fuel burn runs around 400 gallons per hour at cruise. Pilots and cabin crew on his father's payroll number 6, each trained for long-haul operations. Inheriting this jet means inheriting an entire aviation enterprise: crewing schedules, hangar leases, refueling contracts across continents, and compliance with FAA and ESA regulations. Selling the jet could recoup an estimated $70 million, but Corey's decision must weigh personal mobility against preserving a symbol of his father's global influence. Together, the jewelry and the jet underscore the breadth of Matthews's tastes, from intimate heirlooms forged with fire to a flying palace cutting across time zones. Yet they also reveal the gravest challenge of this windfall: stewardship. Each inheritance demands specialized advisors, gemologists who can differentiate between a genuine Art Deco bracelet and a period-correct replica, aviation attorneys who can navigate bilateral flight restrictions and carbon emission taxes. Corey faces an intricate web of responsibilities: tax liabilities in multiple jurisdictions, trust fund stipulations tied to his father's will, and the risk of undervaluing emotional attachments in pursuit of financial calculations. As Corey contemplates these two legacies, he confronts a personal reckoning. Does he leverage the jewelry in a sale room to diversify his assets, or does he retain the heirlooms to honor sentimental bonds with his late father? Does he keep the private jet, embracing the freedom of unrestricted travel, or does he downsize to a charter membership, freeing hundreds of thousands of dollars annually for philanthropic pursuits? Every choice amplifies the elder Matthews's dual roles as visionary collector and patriarch guardian. Corey's decisions now will echo through generations, shaping the Matthews name for decades to come. With 4 inheritances unveiled: estate, cars, art, winery, jewelry, and jet, Corey has already inherited assets valued at well over $200 million. And yet, the most extraordinary legacies remain. In the next segment, we'll explore 3 more surprising bequests: a global investment trust, an ultra-rare book collection that rewrites literary history, and a private Caribbean island secreted behind a century-old will. Each holds its own blend of wealth, responsibility, and narrative power, promising to redefine Corey's life in ways he never imagined. In a hidden wing of the family's Miami office, Corey unlocks a vault labeled Matthews Global Opportunity Trust. Inside, neatly stacked folders reveal the engine of his father's financial empire. A privately held trust seeded with $50 million of Matthews' capital and leveraged into algorithmic trading platforms, renewable energy startups, and pre-IPO biotech leaders. An annotated prospectus describes a joint venture in green hydrogen plants across the Gulf Coast, alongside early stakes in electric vehicle charging networks. Another schedule lists quarterly dividend checks from a collection of income-producing farmland in the Midwest, generating steady cash flow even during market downturns. The trust's portfolio manager, handpicked by the elder Matthews, earned accolades for 18% average annual returns over the past decade, compounding to an estimated $120 million today. Yet inheriting the trust isn't simply a matter of signing papers. Corey must navigate complex legal structures spanning 3 jurisdictions, from Cayman Islands feeder funds to Delaware's special purpose vehicles. He'll need fiduciary counsel to honor the elder Matthews' stipulation. 30% of net gains must fund the Matthews Foundation, which supports STEM scholarships. Annual audits, tax-efficient rollovers, and risk mitigation covenants enforce tight oversight. As he reviews these documents, Corey realizes the true inheritance isn't just wealth, but a blueprint for impact investing, balancing profit with purpose, just as his father envisioned. Once he closes the trust files, Corey descends a steel staircase into a subterranean archive, the Matthews Literary Vault. Here resides an ultra-rare book collection assembled over a century. Spotlights illuminate leather-bound volumes displayed in glass cases. A 1623 first folio of Shakespeare, one of only 235 known copies, whose pages are inscribed with Matthew Matthews's great-great-grandfather's signature. Galileo's 1610 Sidereus Nuncius, containing hand-tinted sketches of Jupiter's moons, and a 1785 first edition of The Wealth of Nations by Adam Smith. Edges still gilt. On a low shelf rests a complete set of original Leaves of Grass from 1855, with Walt Whitman's handwritten corrections in faded ink. A climate-controlled microenvironment keeps humidity at 45% and temperature at 68 degrees Fahrenheit, while silent alarms guard against unauthorized entry. Christie's and Sotheby's appraisals place the collection's market value at $55 million. Yet the vault's genesis is more personal. Each volume represents a chapter in Matthews' family history, a testament to courage, inquiry, and the written word. Corey must decide whether to establish a public reading room under a charitable trust or maintain tight private control. If he opts for public access, he'll need to partner with rare book librarians, secure dedicated endowments for conservation, and navigate donor recognition protocols. Keeping the vault private preserves intimacy, but opening it cements the Matthews legacy in the annals of literary scholarship. Finally, in a centuries-old cedar-lined desk drawer, Corey finds a map and notarized will codicil referencing Isla Santa Lucia. Immediately, he contacts Caribbean Council to confirm that the late Matthews patriarch bequeathed a 34-acre private island off the coast of St. Lucia. Known locally as Isla del Sol, the island features 10 ocean view villas, a private airstrip, and a freshwater spring gushing from volcanic rock. Satellite imagery shows a helipad, a reef-protected snorkeling cove, and a caretaker's enclave housing 12 staff. The codicil stipulates that the island remain undeveloped beyond its existing footprint and that a marine conservation zone be established, a clause enforced by St. Lucia's Environmental Protection Agency. Market reports value Isla del Sol at $85 million, but that figure doesn't account for annual maintenance, security patrols, sustainable fisheries management, and renewable energy microgrids powered by solar and wind. A letter from the late Elder Matthews outlines his dream. Let this island be a retreat for family, artists, and conservationists, not a commercial resort. Inheriting the island carries emotional weight and ecological responsibility. Corey must decide whether to invest in eco-lodges, opening the island for limited educational residencies, or to preserve it entirely as a private sanctuary, funding an endowment to cover upkeep. With these 3 astonishing legacies, and $120 million global trust, a $55 million rare book library, and an $85 million private island, Corey's inheritance swells to well over $500 million in diversified assets. Yet each bequest carries covenants, moral imperatives, and operational demands that extend far beyond balance sheets. As he closes the vault door, Corey recognizes that true wealth lies not in ownership alone, but in honoring his father's vision, stewarding resources wisely, and weaving his own chapter into a family narrative defined by foresight, integrity, and audacity. Now, standing amid the echoes of his father's life, Corey contemplates the full tapestry of inheritances laid before him. 9 extraordinary assets, each a testament to decades of passion, foresight, and meticulous curation. The seaside vista estate evoked ancestral retreat and coastal grandeur. The Garage Turn Museum documented a mechanical obsession spanning classic Ferraris and American muscle. The private art gallery asserted a connoisseur's eye for masterpieces old and new. The Napa Vineyard combined agricultural heritage with hospitality. Then came jewelry and timepieces, microcosms of craftsmanship and sentiment. The Global 7500 jet reflected a desire to traverse borders. The Secret Trust embodied impact investing at scale. The Rare Book Vault enshrined centuries of human inquiry in leather and parchment. And finally, Isla del Sol offered sanctuary to both family and conservation ideals. Taken together, the 9 pillars of wealth present Corey with a formidable inheritance. Hundreds of millions of dollars in diversified holdings, bound by legal stipulations, moral covenants, and emotional ties. Yet this windfall is not merely a ledger of numbers. Each item carries narrative weight, forging an intimate connection between past and future, between a patriarch's vision and his son's unfolding legacy. Corey senses that true richness lies not in asset value alone, but in the responsibility to steward each inheritance faithfully. He must weigh competing impulses. Part of him yearns for financial freedom, selling parcels of the estate, downsizing the car collection, liquidating select artworks, to launch entrepreneurial ventures or seed philanthropic foundations. Another part is drawn toward preservation, keeping the family library under lock and key, refusing to commercialize the island, maintaining that Cartier necklace in private. But his father's codicils whisper of balance. Some covenants demand public benefit, scholarship grants, museum loans, conservation trusts. Others preserve privacy and sanctity. To honor his father's memory, Corey must navigate the delicate interplay of profit and purpose. Stakeholder conversations begin immediately. Estate managers draft conservation easements for shoreline protection. Vintage automobile clubs propose rotating exhibitions, bringing Matthews classics to global concours while protecting their condition. The museum director from a leading art institution negotiates a long-term loan of Picasso's, ensuring professional care and scholarly access. Vineyard staff propose creating an endowment modeling sustainable agriculture, funding research into drought-resistant rootstocks. Advisors suggest forming a family office structure to centralize management, integrate financial planning, and onboard next-generation family members. Yet Corey remains mindful of personal growth. He envisions a new foundation carrying the Matthews name, a hybrid entity supporting STEM scholars, creative artists, and conservation scientists, reflecting the diverse passions his father nurtured. The airline coaxes him to serve on a board's committee, shaping eco-friendly jet fuel initiatives. Archivists invite him to co-curate a traveling rare book exhibition, bringing the first folio to underserved communities. Each offer resonates with his desire to channel wealth into collective uplift, turning private treasures into public treasures. Emotionally, this inheritance journey becomes a path to reconciliation. The 9 legacies remind Corey that his father's life was multifaceted: engineer, collector, philanthropist, family man. Corey resolves that his tenure will honor every dimension. He plans to establish a mentorship program within the winery, supporting minority vintners. He intends to launch a digital archive of the family library, securing open access options for scholars worldwide. He will commission an oral history project capturing caretakers' memories at Seaside Vista, preserving voices often overlooked. In doing so, Corey transcends the binary choice between liquidating wealth for immediate gain and preserving it in stasis. Instead, he forges a third way: dynamic stewardship, blending entrepreneurship with legacy. The 9 inheritances become nodes in an interconnected network of philanthropy, culture, and sustainable enterprise. They shift from static holdings to living platforms for impact. His father's vision finds renewal through innovative programming, community partnerships, and strategic investments in future generations. As dusk settles on the Matthews homestead grounds, Corey pauses at the ocean's edge, the salty breeze carrying the same whispers his father once heard. Each inheritance, from beach to boardroom, holds a fragment of a larger story, one of ambition balanced by integrity, of private privilege matched by public purpose. Corey's task is formidable, but it carries a clear imperative: to honor the Matthews legacy by stewarding these gifts with equal measures of care, creativity, and conscience. With the 9 inheritances mapped and decisions underway, one final truth emerges. Wealth unexamined becomes a burden, but when guided by values, it transforms into an engine for lasting change. Corey's journey has only begun, but armed with his father's vision, a full spectrum of assets, and a deep sense of responsibility, he stands ready to write the next chapter in a story defined by ingenuity, generosity, and enduring legacy. In the weeks following his father's funeral, Corey finds himself in a whirlwind of board meetings, site visits, and quiet reflections. He begins each morning at the Seaside Vista Study, leafing through leather-bound journals where his father chronicled ambitions for each inheritance. One entry reads, "May these holdings serve as beacons of possibility, not just vaults of wealth." With that guiding principle, Corey charts a plan of action. He convenes a council of advisors, family, longtime staff, legal experts, and community leaders to draft a blueprint that honors both his father's covenants and his own vision. Together, they set measurable goals: fund 50 STEM scholarships within 2 years, restore 10 rare books per annum, and establish a marine conservation fund supported by island revenues. Simultaneously, Corey hosts an inaugural gala at the estate, transforming the grand ballroom into a showcase of his father's legacies. Attendees wander past multimedia installations, projections of classic Ferraris roaring through coastal roads, archival footage of harvest seasons at the winery, and close-ups of embroidered passages from the first folio. At each station, interactive displays invite guests to pledge support for upcoming initiatives, whether underwriting the Conservation Trust or sponsoring a rotating art exhibition. The event raises over $1 million in seed funding, confirming that the Matthews name still resonates powerfully. More important than the funds is the collective sense of purpose awakened in the gathering. Corey's stewardship promises to be collaborative, inclusive, and forward-thinking. On a crisp autumn morning, Corey pilots a small Cessna to Isla del Sol, stepping onto its white sands with ecologists and architects in tow. They map out eco-friendly cabins tucked into native foliage, designate protected reef zones, and draft plans for an artist's residency program. Each decision honors his father's stipulation against overdevelopment, while inviting a new generation of storytellers to find inspiration by the sea. For Corey, the island becomes a living laboratory where conservation, creativity, and cultural exchange converge, transforming family inheritance into global legacy. Meanwhile, back in Napa, Corey spends harvest weeks alongside vineyard hands, pruning vines at dawn and sampling barrel blend trials by dusk. He launches Matthews Next Gen, a mentorship initiative pairing young, diverse winemakers with seasoned vintners, fostering innovation in sustainable viticulture. The program plans cover crops to enrich soil, tests solar-powered irrigation, and integrates wildlife corridors to support native species. By harvest's end, Corey realizes that honoring his father's winemaking passion means adapting to modern challenges: climate resilience, equitable access, and community partnership. Across town, the private gallery doors open for the first time to nonprofit partners, who curate rotating shows that highlight underrepresented artists. Scholars examine Picasso sketches under specialized lights, while local students participate in hands-on workshops exploring artistic techniques. Corey underwrites free admissions and transportation for underserved schools, ensuring that the collection he inherited serves as a catalyst for education and inspiration. The gallery, once a secluded trove, now pulses with activity and purpose. In the boardroom of the Matthews Global Opportunity Trust, Corey chairs monthly meetings with portfolio managers and impact investors. They review performance metrics, reallocate funds toward renewable energy breakthroughs, and reinvest dividends into the Matthews Foundation. By year's end, the trust's net gains have fueled scholarships, conservation grants, and community development projects, fulfilling his father's directive to blend profit with public good. As the calendar turns, Corey stands once again on the seaside Vista Bluff, surveying the Atlantic horizon. He reflects on the 9 inheritances that reshaped his life: estate, cars, art, winery, jewelry, jet, trust, books, and island. Each has become not just an asset, but a vessel for purpose, linking past vision with future impact. He whispers a quiet thanks to his father for entrusting him with such responsibility and for embedding in every bequest the seeds of service. Looking forward, Corey envisions a Matthews legacy not confined to private holdings, but radiating outward through education, culture, and conservation. His journey has taught him that true wealth lies in shared opportunity and in the courage to transform silent vaults into vibrant platforms for change. As the sun sets on another day of stewardship, Corey understands that inheriting riches is easy. Stewarding them wisely is the real inheritance.